The Jewish people are often referred to as the, quote, chosen people, and that this chosenness is to be the light unto the nations. I have seen sometimes that these two aspects of Judaism are used as a negative against the Jewish people as some type of arrogance, as if Jewish people believe themselves to be somehow better than the others of the nations. This actually couldn't be further from the truth, but first let's see where the idea of this chosenness comes from. If we pass the biblical stories of the patriarchs like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they're being singled out by God for their chosenness on an individual or familial level, the biblical book of Deuteronomy, or Devarim in Hebrew, it says in chapter 14, verse 2, quote, "For you are a people consecrated to your God. Your God chose you from among all other peoples on earth to be a treasured people," end quote. Before this, in chapter 4, verse 5 and 6, God tells the Jewish people, quote, "See, I have imparted to you the laws and rules. Observe them faithfully, for that will be your proof of your wisdom and discernment to other peoples, who on hearing of all these laws will say, 'Surely that great nation is a wise and discerning people,'" end quote. Incredibly, this has become shockingly true in the modern day. We often hear references to the, quote, Judeo-Christian beliefs and laws around the world. Think about that for a moment. An absolutely minuscule group of people living in a tiny area of the Middle East defies empire after empire trying to colonize and destroy them. But not only did they survive, they were able to provide the building blocks for many of the laws, morals, and ethics in today's Western world, thousands of years later. Also consider the fact that the Jewish people and their laws were very much against the grain in the ancient world. If you were living back in the ancient times and you heard what the Jewish people were forbidding, you would think that they were crazy. As the prophet Isaiah says in chapter 42, verse 6, quote, "God appointed you, the Jewish people, a covenant people, and a light unto the nations," end quote. This light is the light of the Torah and the morals and ethical code that it brings. One of the most well-known and practiced parts of bringing this light to the world is the practice of tikkun olam, repairing the world. The term is initially used in the Mishnah, a body of classical rabbinic teachings from around the 200 CE era. There, it refers to a social policy of legislation providing extra protection for those who are potentially at a disadvantage in the community. In reference to individual acts of repair, the phrase tikkun olam figures prominently in the Kabbalistic account of creation and its implications. The idea that God contracted the divine self to make room for his creation. Divine light became contained in these special vessels called kelim, some of which shattered due to the sheer power of the light of God. Most of the light returned to its divine source, but some light attached itself to these broken shards. These broken shards and divine light are now in the material world, and human beings are expected to find these things that are in need of fixing and repair them in order to release the sparks of divine light back to the heavens. Contemporary usage of the phrase tikkun olam shares the rabbinical concept of a concern with public policy and societal change with the Kabbalistic notion of tikkun, the idea that the world is profoundly broken and needs to be fixed by human activity. Maybe this is the reason why Jewish history has shown that diaspora communities that have spread to every corner of the world after being exiled from our land of Judah, we brought with us to these countries and regions the moral code, business innovations, and acts of tikkun olam to help those countries and regions thrive and grow. As we can see here, the chosenness or being a light unto the nations is actually intending not to be better than others, but to provide what we can in order to repair our world around us, including the world of those around us. We refuse to sit back and watch injustices happen or see things that are broken and not try to fix them. It is our mission to try and take on these difficult tasks in order to make the lives of those around us better, whether those people are Jewish or not. We can use the abilities and talents and money that we have in order to fix things, to give charity, to help those in need. In our next segment, we are going to look at a number of ways that the Jewish communities around the world have helped and been a light unto the nations. When we come back on the Jewish Diaspora Report, stay with us.